Have you ever experienced a moment of inexplicable déjà vu that left you wondering if your soul has been here before? Or perhaps you've questioned why certain patterns keep repeating in your life, despite your best efforts to break free from them. These mysteries might have deeper roots than you realize, roots that extend far beyond your current lifetime. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the globe. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. The ancient wisdom that Edgar Cayce channeled reveals something profound about our existence. Your soul's journey didn't begin at birth, nor will it end with death. Instead, you're on an eternal voyage through time and space, carrying with you the imprints of countless lives lived before. Has this ever happened to you? Meeting someone for the first time, yet feeling as though you've known them forever? Or perhaps experiencing an irrational fear with no apparent cause in your current life? These moments aren't coincidences. They're whispers from your soul's past. The challenges you face today, those persistent struggles that seem to defy logical explanation, often have roots buried deep in the soil of previous incarnations. That relationship dynamic that keeps resurfacing, that inexplicable talent you possess. Without training, that recurring dream that feels more like a memory, all are echoes reverberating through the corridors of time, connecting who you were to who you are becoming. What's most fascinating, and what Edgar Cayce emphasized throughout his readings, is that divine justice operates silently, without fanfare. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this principle could transform how you perceive every challenge in your life. What we casually call destiny is actually the silent harvest of seeds planted long ago in gardens of existence you no longer consciously remember tending. But here's the revelation that might surprise you. These echoes from your past lives aren't punishments. They're not cosmic retribution or some divine sentence passed down upon you. Rather, they're sacred invitations, opportunities disguised as obstacles, calling you to heal ancient wounds, to grow beyond limitations you once accepted, to understand from within what you once caused others to experience. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like a diamond with countless facets, each one representing a different lifetime, a different expression of your eternal essence. Each challenge you face today is polishing a specific facet, bringing it to greater brilliance. That difficult relationship might be teaching you compassion where once you showed indifference. That chronic health issue might be guiding you toward a holistic understanding of wellness that your soul needs to learn. If you're resonating with these spiritual insights about your soul's journey, hit that subscribe button to join our community of seekers exploring the deeper dimensions of existence. Your soul brought you here for a reason. The pain that seems so personal, so targeted to your specific vulnerabilities, is actually the precise medicine your soul prescribed for itself before you were born into this body. And understanding this truth changes everything about how you navigate life's challenges. What we perceive as random suffering often serves a profound purpose in our soul's evolution. When unexplainable pain enters your life, that heartbreak that seems disproportionate, that loss that feels unbearable, that challenge that appears insurmountable, a hidden transformation is taking place beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. These moments of darkness aren't random acts of cosmic cruelty. They're precisely calibrated invitations to heal emotional wounds that have persisted across lifetimes, waiting patiently for the perfect moment of revelation. Think of your soul as an ancient tapestry, woven with threads of every experience you've ever had. Some threads appear broken, tangled, or frayed, representing unresolved traumas, incomplete lessons, and abandoned connections from previous existences. The suffering you experience today often corresponds exactly to these damaged threads, offering you the rare opportunity to repair what was once broken, to complete what was left unfinished. The fascinating truth is that patterns don't repeat to torment you. They repeat because they're still seeking resolution. That persistent feeling of abandonment, that recurring betrayal, that cycle of scarcity. These aren't punishments, but rather soul-level homework assignments that remain incomplete. Each repetition brings a new perspective, a deeper understanding, another chance to respond differently and finally transform the pattern that has followed your soul across centuries. Now I want to go even deeper into the mystery of human connections. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, overwhelming sense of familiarity, or perhaps experienced an immediate, visceral dislike of a person without any rational explanation? These powerful emotional responses rarely originate in the present, their echoes reverberating from the chambers of past lives, whispering of ancient bonds, both beautiful and painful. The souls we encounter in this lifetime aren't random strangers on arbitrary paths. They're traveling companions we've danced with before, across countless stages of existence. That person who triggers intense emotion in you, whether love or aversion, likely shares a soul contract with you that extends far beyond this current chapter. Perhaps they were once your child, now returned as your parent. Perhaps they were your betrayer, now positioned as your potential healer. The universe orchestrates these reunions not to reactivate old wounds, but to offer the divine gift of resolution. What's truly liberating about this hidden truth is understanding that death isn't the end of our journey, but merely a transition to greater awareness. In the spiritual realm that awaits beyond this physical existence, even those who have made grave mistakes receive compassionate guidance. Yet they also encounter something profoundly transformative, unfiltered truth. Imagine standing before the mirror of your own consciousness, seeing with perfect clarity the impact of every choice you've ever made, every pain you've caused, every opportunity you've missed. This revelation isn't punishment, it's illumination. From this expanded perspective, the soul naturally recognizes what needs to be healed, what requires balance, what demands completion. And from this recognition emerges the blueprint for the next incarnation, a sacred blueprint designed not to punish, but to perfect, not to condemn, but to complete, not to torture, but to transform. If you're feeling a resonance with these revelations about your soul's journey, write in the comments, "My soul remembers." The acknowledgement alone often begins the healing process that your higher self has been seeking across lifetimes. The most liberating revelation about our soul's eternal journey is understanding that reincarnation itself is not a sentence, it's a sacred gift. Each new lifetime represents a fresh canvas, a divine opportunity to rewrite chapters of your cosmic story that may have been filled with regret, misunderstanding, or missed potential. This perspective transforms your entire relationship with existence. Suddenly, the weight of karma shifts from burden to blessing, from punishment to possibility. When you look beneath the surface of your current life circumstances, you'll discover that nothing is random. Those challenges written into your life script, the obstacles that seem insurmountable, the relationships that feel destined, the talents that flow effortlessly, were selected with profound intention. Your higher self, in collaboration with spiritual guides, carefully designed this lifetime with specific lessons and growth opportunities that your soul has chosen to face. This blueprint wasn't created to limit you, but to fulfill you, to guide your conscious awakening to the fullness of who you truly are. What appears as coincidence to the untrained eye is actually cosmic choreography of the highest order. That chance encounter that changed everything, that unexpected loss that redirected your entire life path, that inexplicable struggle that refuses to resolve. These are scheduled appointments with destiny that your soul arranged long before your birth. The profound pain that sometimes pierces through your everyday experience often carries wisdom from beyond this lifetime. When you suffer in ways that seem disproportionate to anything you've done in this life, you're likely experiencing the echo of actions from a previous existence. Perhaps you once abandoned someone who trusted you completely, and now you face abandonment. Perhaps you once judged harshly, and now you face judgment. But here's the revolutionary understanding that Edgar Cayce emphasized. This mirroring isn't punishment, it's education of the most profound kind. By experiencing from within what we once caused others to feel, we develop the soul-level empathy that transcends intellectual understanding. We don't just know conceptually that abandonment hurts, we feel it in the marrow of our being. We don't just theoretically understand betrayal, we carry its weight in our heart. This embodied wisdom becomes the foundation for genuine compassion and the catalyst for spiritual evolution that transcends lifetimes. The spiritual awakening that awaits you isn't found primarily in sacred texts or meditative practices, though these certainly support the journey. True evolution emerges through lived experience, through the tears that cleanse ancient wounds, through the forgiveness that liberates both yourself and others, through the love that transforms even the darkest corners of your being. Your soul didn't incarnate to observe life from a safe distance, but to immerse fully in its magnificent mess, extracting the wisdom that only direct experience can provide. Each mistake becomes a master teacher. Each heartbreak becomes a doorway to greater compassion. Each failure becomes the foundation for future triumph. This perspective transforms how you navigate life's inevitable challenges. What once appeared as random suffering now reveals itself as sacred initiation into greater consciousness. If you're starting to recognize the patterns in your own life as teachers rather than tormentors, type "I see the lessons now" in the comments. Acknowledging these soul-level patterns is the first step toward conscious participation in your own spiritual evolution. When Edgar Cayce spoke about each soul crafting its own destiny, he wasn't offering a philosophical platitude. He was revealing a profound spiritual mechanism that governs our existence across lifetimes. This revelation places the power of transformation directly in your hands, shifting you from passive victim to conscious creator of your soul's journey. The circumstances you face today aren't random occurrences or divine punishment. They're reflections of choices made by your higher self, both in this lifetime and in previous incarnations. This perspective revolutionizes how you interpret life's challenges. That persistent obstacle isn't a wall meant to block your progress. It's a threshold inviting you to step into greater awareness. That recurring fear isn't prophecy of inevitable failure. It's a reflection of what your soul needs to transcend. That unexpected opportunity didn't randomly appear. It exists because your consciousness has expanded enough to receive it. You are ready, even when your limited human perspective doubts this truth. Ready to continue this journey of spiritual awakening. Subscribe now to access more revelations about your soul's path through time. Each video is designed to illuminate another aspect of your eternal journey. The blueprint of your destiny isn't imposed from outside, but emerges from within, from the whispers of your soul, from the wisdom of your higher self, from the courage of your spiritual essence that knows exactly what experiences will catalyze your awakening. This understanding doesn't dismiss life's difficulties, but transforms them from meaningless suffering into meaningful milestones on your path to enlightenment. Now consider the people surrounding you, those who inspire you, challenge you, love you, and sometimes wound you. Their presence in your life isn't coincidental. Long before this incarnation began, your soul entered into sacred agreements with these fellow travelers. Some came to teach you patience, others to show you unconditional love. still others to reflect aspects of yourself that require healing. These soul contracts form the intricate tapestry of your relationships, each thread woven with purposeful intention. Even the most difficult people in your life, especially them, are fulfilling roles your higher self requested. That person who triggers your deepest insecurities. They may be the exact mirror your soul needs to recognize and heal ancient wounds. That relationship that ended in heartbreak? It may have been designed to teach you both about forgiveness across lifetimes. The spiritual commitments binding souls together transcend the physical realm, continuing their work even when human understanding falters. What binds these soul connections isn't obligation, but love. A love so profound it willingly embraces pain for the sake of mutual growth. This love forms the unbreakable bond that reconnects souls across countless lifetimes, orchestrating reunions that serve the highest evolution of all involved. Even when human relationships end, the spiritual connections remain, continuing their sacred work beneath the surface of conscious awareness. Many seekers ask the same profound question: how can I possibly repair karma from lives I don't even remember? The answer lies not in accessing detailed memories of past incarnations, but in developing heightened awareness of present patterns. Your life continually reveals what your soul needs to learn through what hurts, what irritates, what feels inexplicably familiar, what repeats despite your best efforts to change course. These aren't random glitches in your experience, but precisely calibrated guideposts leading towards soul-level healing. The recurring relationship dynamics, the persistent financial struggles, the chronic physical ailments, all contain encoded messages from your higher self, pointing toward the lessons your soul has prioritized in this lifetime. When you approach these patterns with curiosity rather than resistance, they transform from frustrating obstacles into illuminated pathways toward liberation. If you've begun noticing meaningful patterns in your own life experience, share "I see the soul's language" in the comments. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in consciously participating in your soul's magnificent journey across time. Consider for a moment that this physical reality, with all its beauty and challenges, is essentially a cosmic classroom designed for soul education. Every experience serves as curriculum perfectly tailored to your soul's unique learning needs. The universe operates as an infinitely patient teacher, presenting the same lesson in different forms until mastery occurs. This explains why certain themes repeat throughout your life journey. They represent unfinished lessons from previous existences that your soul has committed to complete. Time flows differently in the spiritual realm than in our linear human experience. What seems urgent to us exists within a much grander timeline from the soul's perspective. God and the universe aren't rushed. They operate with perfect timing, orchestrating circumstances, encounters, and opportunities precisely when your soul is ready to receive them. This divine timing explains why some lessons arrive later in life, while others present themselves in childhood. Each soul follows its own unique rhythm of transformation, unfolding according to an inner spiritual blueprint that transcends human scheduling. The greatest revelations often arrive disguised as our most difficult circumstances. That child born into profound family dysfunction isn't being punished for past transgressions. They're being called to develop extraordinary resilience, compassion, and wisdom that their soul may have neglected to cultivate in previous incarnations. The young person facing constant rejection isn't experiencing random cruelty. They're being invited to discover self-worth that transcends external validation, perhaps because they once defined themselves entirely through others' approval. The adult, weathering betrayal by a trusted partner, isn't suffering meaningless heartbreak. They're awakening to deeper levels of forgiveness, discernment, and self-love that their soul has identified as essential to their evolution. These challenging circumstances serve as spiritual catalysts, accelerating the development of neglected virtues and capacities that your soul has prioritized in this lifetime. The difficulties aren't punitive, but purposeful, not meant to break you, but to remake you into the expanded version of yourself that your soul envisions. This perspective transforms our relationship with suffering entirely. What we typically label as suffering, the heartbreaks, losses, illnesses, and disappointments, often disguises the most profound spiritual awakenings. These experiences crack open the ego's protective shell, allowing the light of higher consciousness to penetrate the darkest corners of our being. The spiritual path isn't about avoiding pain, but about recognizing its transformative potential. Unlike some religious traditions that emphasize punishment and condemnation, spiritual understanding, as revealed through Edgar Cayce's work, emphasizes consciousness and liberation. The shadows of your past, whether from this lifetime or previous incarnations, don't exist to imprison you in guilt and shame. They persist only to be illuminated by your growing awareness, serving as portals to greater freedom once their lessons have been integrated. The question that unlocks this liberating perspective isn't, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What did I come here to learn?" This simple yet profound shift in inquiry transforms you from victim to student, from passive recipient of fate to active participant in your soul's evolution. The answer rarely comes as intellectual understanding alone. It emerges as embodied wisdom through the experience itself, changing not just what you know, but who you are becoming. If you find yourself navigating challenging circumstances with this new perspective of soul education, write in the comments, "I am a soul student." Acknowledging yourself as an eternal learner in this cosmic classroom opens doors to wisdom that transcends any single lifetime. One of Edgar Cayce's most profound insights challenges our entire relationship with pain. He revealed that suffering isn't the conclusion of our story. It's often the opening chapter of our deepest healing. This perspective performs a complete revolution in how we interpret life's darkest moments. That devastating loss, that heartbreaking betrayal, that overwhelming crisis, these aren't endpoints but thresholds. They don't mark your destruction, but your reconstruction. Not your ending, but your beginning. Life operates with a wisdom that far exceeds our limited human perspective. What appears as cruel demolition is actually careful sculpting, removing what no longer serves your highest evolution to reveal the masterpiece hiding beneath the surface. The universe doesn't break you to punish you. It breaks you open to transform you, to access deeper dimensions of your being that remain dormant until crisis creates the necessary opening. This explains why many spiritual awakening stories begin with profound suffering. The mystics across traditions speak of the dark night of the soul, that excruciating period of dissolution where everything you thought you knew crumbles away. Yet from this apparent devastation emerges something miraculous, a rebirth of consciousness that couldn't have occurred any other way. The collapse becomes the cocoon from which your spiritual nature emerges, transformed beyond recognition. Think of those pivotal moments in your own journey when you've stood at the precipice of surrender. Perhaps a challenge seemed too overwhelming, a pain too intense, a loss too devastating to bear. Yet something within you, something beyond rational thought or physical strength, whispered, "Keep going." That persistent inner voice doesn't arise from your personality or your conditioning. It emerges from your soul's knowing, your essence that has weathered countless storms across lifetimes. This inner wisdom carries the memory of every obstacle you've already overcome, every darkness you've already transcended, every impossible situation you've already survived. Not just in this lifetime, but in all your previous incarnations. Your soul remembers your spiritual resilience even when your conscious mind forgets. It knows that you've fallen before and risen again, that you've been broken before and become whole, that you've lost everything before and rebuilt from nothing. This soul-level knowing becomes the unshakable foundation that sustains you through present challenges. While your conscious mind may have no access to specific memories of past lives, your body and soul function as living archives of every experience you've ever had. The unexplained physical reactions, the irrational fears, the innate talents that seem to appear fully formed, all contain encoded information from previous incarnations. That inexplicable chest tightness when entering certain spaces might be your body remembering a traumatic death. That instinctive fear of water despite no drowning experience in this lifetime might be your soul recalling a past life tragedy. That natural ability with music despite no formal training might be your hands remembering skills developed centuries ago. These aren't just psychological curiosities, but doorways to profound healing. When approached with awareness and compassion, these embodied memories offer opportunities to resolve ancient wounds and reclaim fragmented aspects of your soul. The body speaks a language older than words, carrying wisdom that predates your current existence. It doesn't forget the journeys you've taken. It simply holds these memories in subtle vibration, waiting for the right circumstances to bring them into conscious awareness for integration and healing. If you've experienced unexplainable physical or emotional patterns that now make sense as possible past life memories, share "My Body Remembers" in the comments. Recognizing these subtle messages is the beginning of a profound healing journey across time. Have you ever encountered someone whose wisdom seems to transcend their years? A child with old eyes, a young adult with inexplicable depth of understanding. This phenomenon that psychology struggles to explain becomes crystal clear through the lens of reincarnation. These old souls aren't anomalies, but advanced travelers who have already walked many paths, faced countless trials, and integrated the wisdom from lifetimes of experience. Their profound insight wasn't developed during this brief incarnation, but accumulated across an expansive journey through time and space. The natural-born healer, the child prodigy, the wise beyond their years. These souls often arrive with a specific mission to illuminate darkness they've already navigated, to guide others through terrain they've already mapped. Their wisdom wasn't downloaded instantly, but earned through the crucible of experience, through mistakes made, suffering endured, lessons integrated, and growth achieved across multiple lifetimes. What appears as innate gift is actually hard-won wisdom, the fruit of spiritual evolution that extends far beyond this single incarnation. This soul-level wisdom frequently comes at great cost. These advanced souls often face extraordinary challenges that would break less experienced spirits, yet they persist, fueled by a love that transcends human understanding. A cosmic compassion born from countless cycles of giving and receiving, hurting and healing, losing and finding across the vast tapestry of existence. Now let's unveil one of the most comforting revelations about our soul journey, the eternal nature of our deepest connections. Death, that doorway we so fear, has no power to permanently sever the bonds we forge with other souls. The parent you loved, the child you lost, the partner who completed you, the friend who understood you. These connections don't dissolve with physical separation, but continue their sacred dance across lifetimes. Reincarnation operates as cosmic choreography, orchestrating reunions between souls who share unfinished business, uncompleted healing, or unresolved karma. The invisible threads binding you to certain others aren't random attractions, but the continuing conversation between souls who have known each other before, perhaps many times, in many configurations. The mother who once was your child, the enemy who once was your friend, the stranger who feels inexplicably familiar, All are participants in an eternal story that spans countless chapters, with each new lifetime offering fresh opportunities for healing, growth, and transformation. This understanding brings profound insight to even our most painful relationships. That person who wounded you most deeply may be carrying out a soul contract established long ago. Perhaps they're experiencing from you what you once caused them in a previous existence. The betrayal that shattered your trust might be the mirror reflection of a similar pain you once inflicted. Not because the universe seeks revenge, but because empathy can only be truly developed through direct experience. The exquisite balance in this cosmic arrangement isn't punitive, but educational. You learn compassion for what you've caused by experiencing it directly. You develop forgiveness for what was done to you by understanding the larger pattern of soul education. The perfect justice of this system stems not from divine punishment, but from divine love. A love so committed to your ultimate evolution that it creates precisely the circumstances needed for your deepest awakening. The revelation that nothing is wasted, no tear, no loss, no struggle, transforms your entire relationship with suffering. Even your darkest moments serve as classrooms for the soul, offering lessons that couldn't be learned any other way. The universe wastes nothing in its magnificent economy of spiritual growth. If you're beginning to see your most challenging relationships through this lens of soul education, share "I honor the soul contracts" in the comments. Recognizing these ancient agreements can transform even your most difficult connections into sacred opportunities for mutual evolution. The whispers of divine justice echo through our lives, in ways we often miss when focused only on the surface of experience. Unlike human justice systems that announce verdicts with gavel strikes and formal declarations, cosmic justice operates with subtle precision, speaking not through punishment, but through perfectly calibrated opportunities for awakening. The challenges that arise in your path aren't random obstacles, but divine messengers carrying invitations. You're ready now. You're ready to see what was previously invisible to you, to feel what you once caused others to experience, to love precisely where you once created wounds. This perspective transforms your relationship with life's difficulties entirely. That person who mirrors your own worst traits isn't appearing randomly, but arriving as a sacred teacher, reflecting aspects of yourself that require healing. That situation that triggers your deepest insecurities isn't meaningless torture, but a precisely designed classroom, creating the exact conditions needed for your evolution. Divine justice operates not to condemn, but to complete you, to guide your consciousness toward wholeness through experiences that catalyze your highest potential. One question that often arises when contemplating past lives is, what if I was someone truly terrible? What if I committed unforgivable acts in previous incarnations? This fear of karmic punishment can create paralyzing anxiety. Yet Edgar Cayce offered profound reassurance. The very fact that you're seeking spiritual understanding, asking these questions, and concerned about your soul's journey already indicates significant evolution. No soul deeply entrenched in darkness actively seeks the light. Your presence on a spiritual path, your interest in understanding the deeper mechanics of existence, serves as evidence that your soul has already begun its journey homeward. Those still committed to lower frequency experiences don't typically concern themselves with spiritual growth or worry about their soul's evolution. The questioning itself reveals an awakening consciousness, a spirit in the process of redemption. This understanding brings not pride, but profound relief. You're already on the path, already moving toward greater light, already participating in your own soul's rescue. The most liberating revelation in Edgar Cayce's teachings concerns the nature of divine forgiveness. Even the most grievous errors we've committed across lifetimes receive mercy in the cosmic scheme. No soul is beyond redemption, no action beyond the reach of grace. However, this forgiveness isn't automatic or passive. It completes itself through our active participation in the process of inner transformation. The universe doesn't demand punishment, but does require growth. True spiritual evolution requires more than intellectual acknowledgement of past mistakes. It demands sincere change at the level of consciousness, genuine desire to create good where once we created harm, authentic commitment to love where once we chose fear. These inner shifts open portals in the spiritual realm that allow higher frequencies to flow into our experience. The doors to liberation aren't locked from the outside, but from within, and only we can unlock them through the courageous work of inner renewal. This explains why surface-level spiritual practices without corresponding inner transformation yield limited results. Meditation, prayer, and ritual create beneficial energy, certainly, but they must be accompanied by genuine heart change to fully activate their power. The spiritual technologies we employ serve as amplifiers of our inner state, not substitutes for the essential work of consciousness transformation. If you're finding yourself drawn to forgiveness as the key that unlocks your spiritual evolution, write "Forgiveness liberates my soul" in the comments. This recognition can be the turning point in your journey across lifetimes. One of the most liberating revelations from Edgar Cayce's work is that no matter how significant our past transgressions might have been, the pathway to healing remains open through present choices. This profound insight shifts our relationship with regret, guilt, and shame. Emotions that often paralyze spiritual growth rather than catalyze it. The shadow aspects of our soul's journey aren't permanent stains, but rather opportunities for transformation through conscious action in the present moment. When we choose acts of genuine kindness, compassion, and service, today we aren't merely accumulating spiritual merit. We're actively repairing the energetic imbalances created by past harmful actions. This cosmic restoration doesn't erase what happened, but it does create new patterns that illuminate the path forward. Each act of love becomes a building block in the construction of your spiritual architecture, gradually transforming the blueprint of your soul's expression across lifetimes. This understanding reveals why charitable acts and compassionate service carry such profound healing potential. Beyond their immediate impact on others, they represent your soul's commitment to a different trajectory, a decision to create harmony where once you may have created discord. The spiritual physics of this process operates with mathematical precision. Every genuine expression of love counterbalances past expressions of fear, gradually restoring equilibrium to your soul's journey. Now consider the recurring situations that seem to follow you through life despite your conscious efforts to avoid them. That relationship pattern that repeats with different people but identical emotional dynamics. That financial cycle that returns you to the same point of scarcity despite your best efforts. That health challenge that manifests in different forms but similar lessons. These aren't random coincidences or cruel twists of fate. They're carefully designed curricula for your soul's education. These patterns continue presenting themselves until you discover a fundamentally different response, until you learn to meet abandonment with self-sufficiency rather than desperation, to meet betrayal with wisdom rather than vengeance, to meet scarcity with creativity rather than fear. The cycle breaks not when the external circumstance changes, but when your internal response transforms. And this transformation almost always involves choosing love where you previously chose fear, choosing creation where you previously chose destruction. The decision point that liberates you from these cycles rarely occurs at the intellectual level. Knowing better doesn't automatically translate to living differently. The true breakthrough happens at the emotional level, where deeply embedded patterns reside beneath conscious awareness. This explains why intellectual understanding alone rarely creates lasting transformation. The mind grasps the concept while the emotional body continues operating on autopilot. To access these deeper layers, turn your awareness toward the emotional patterns that seem most resistant to change. Instead of struggling against them, become curious about what they're revealing. What feeling am I avoiding? What wound remains unacknowledged? What part of myself am I refusing to see? The answers rarely arrive as clear verbal insights, but rather as bodily sensations, emotional releases, or sudden recognitions that bypass language entirely. The soul speaks first through feeling, not through thinking. If you've begun noticing emotional patterns that seem to transcend this single lifetime, share "I'm awakening to my soul patterns" in the comments. This recognition marks the beginning of conscious participation in your own liberation across time. The spiritual journey reveals a profound paradox. Knowledge alone never catalyzes true awakening. You can study spiritual texts for decades, memorize metaphysical concepts, and intellectually grasp the mechanics of reincarnation, yet remain essentially unchanged at the soul level. True transformation occurs not through information acquisition, but through direct experience, through the lived embodiment of spiritual truth that bypasses the intellectual mind entirely. This explains why many highly educated spiritual seekers still struggle with the same emotional patterns and limitations despite their extensive knowledge. They've accumulated spiritual concepts without integrating them into their being. The mind understands, while the heart remains untouched. You can hear 1,000 times that you're an immortal soul temporarily experiencing human form, but this remains abstract theory until you directly encounter your own eternal nature through lived experience. The doorway to this embodied knowing often appears in unexpected places. In the midst of your deepest pain, your most challenging loss, your most complete surrender. When intellectual defenses crumble under the weight of human suffering, something miraculous happens. The soul's wisdom emerges from beneath the mind's limited understanding. You don't just think you're more than your temporary human experience. You know it with unshakable certainty because you've touched that deeper reality directly. Now I want to go even deeper into the hidden wisdom behind life's most challenging harvests. That painful circumstance you're navigating right now, that relationship breakdown, health crisis, financial collapse, or personal failure, contains within it seeds of extraordinary possibility. The bitter harvest of today becomes tomorrow's fertile soil when approached with awakened consciousness. The very experiences that seem most devastating often contain the most powerful catalysts for transformation. This perspective performs a complete revolution in your relationship with difficulty. When you recognize that today's painful harvest contains the seeds of tomorrow's flowering, life ceases being an adversary to be resisted and becomes a wise companion on your journey. The universe isn't punishing you, but preparing you, clearing space for new growth, removing what no longer serves your evolution, creating optimal conditions for your next expansion. This shift from resistance to partnership with life's natural cycles creates a profound inner peace that transcends circumstance. What emerges most clearly from Edgar Cayce's revelations about past lives is this essential truth. The human spirit incarnates not to suffer, but to learn to love. Yet paradoxically, the capacity for profound love often emerges most powerfully through experiences of profound brokenness. Those who have never been shattered rarely develop the depth, compassion, and wisdom that characterize truly awakened souls. The spiritual alchemy that transforms suffering into awakening requires complete surrender, a willingness to be broken open rather than remaining safely closed. When your heart breaks from loss, when your identity shatters from crisis, when your defenses crumble from pain, something miraculous happens. You touch the bedrock of existence itself, and there, in that naked vulnerability, you discover what countless mystics have proclaimed. Love isn't just an emotion, but the fundamental substance of reality itself, the only force that transcends death, the only truth that remains when everything else falls away. This discovery doesn't come from reading spiritual books or attending workshops, but from direct encounter with your own depths, from touching the place within that knows with absolute certainty that love remains when all else dissolves. This isn't sentimental platitude, but the most practical spiritual technology. The recognition that love is the only force powerful enough to transform the deepest patterns of your soul across lifetimes. If you've experienced moments where your greatest pain revealed your greatest wisdom, share "My brokenness became my breakthrough" in the comments. These moments of awakening through difficulty connect us across the veil of individual experience. The journey of soul evolution reveals a profound distinction between being shaped by your past and being defined by it. Your errors and missteps across lifetimes, whether recalled consciously or not, have certainly molded you, creating the specific spiritual curriculum you navigate today. But they don't represent your unchangeable essence or determine your ultimate potential. This revelation liberates you from the weight of spiritual determinism that suggests your past actions have permanently limited your future possibilities. What makes this journey even more remarkable is that you've never been traveling alone, even during your darkest moments of isolation. Surrounding your incarnated self exists an invisible community of support. Spiritual mentors, guides, and compassionate beings who recognize your true nature beyond the temporary confusions of physical existence. These enlightened presences don't judge your struggles, but celebrate your courage, offering subtle guidance through intuitive nudges, synchronistic encounters, and moments of unexpected clarity. These spiritual allies hold a vision of your highest potential that often exceeds your own limited self-concept. They witness your journey with tender understanding, recognizing how much you've already overcome, not just in this lifetime, but across countless incarnations. Their patient presence creates a field of supportive energy that sustains you through the most challenging thresholds of transformation, especially when your conscious awareness cannot perceive the larger pattern of your soul's evolution. Edgar Cayce offered a particularly powerful metaphor for understanding pain's spiritual function, comparing it to a surgeon's scalpel, an instrument that cuts not to harm, but to heal. The discomfort we experience, whether emotional or physical, serves a precise purpose in our soul's development, removing the accumulated debris that prevents our authentic light from shining. Pride that blocks genuine connection, resentment that poisons present joy, vanity that disconnects us from our spiritual essence, selfishness that limits our capacity for love. These energetic blockages often require painful experiences to be dislodged and transformed. What makes this process so challenging is that the very aspects being removed often feel like essential parts of our identity rather than limitations to our true nature. The ego resists this spiritual surgery, interpreting healing as harm, growth as loss, liberation as death. Yet those who surrender to this sacred process discover an unexpected miracle. As the scalpel removes what no longer serves, the soul begins to bloom with unprecedented brightness. What bleeds isn't life force, but light itself, the radiance of your authentic essence emerging from beneath accumulated layers of conditioning and karma. The wisdom of past lives doesn't necessarily arrive through detailed mental recall of specific incarnations. Instead, it emerges through the heart's knowing, through those inexplicable moments of recognition that bypass rational understanding entirely. That place you visit for the first time yet feel you've always known. That stranger whose eyes trigger an avalanche of emotion without apparent cause. That inexplicable phobia or fascination that seems woven into your very being. These aren't random glitches in your psychology, but meaningful echoes from your soul's journey. Traces of experiences so significant they've imprinted your energetic field across time. These momentary glimpses through the veil between lifetimes offer profound opportunities for healing and integration when approached with conscious awareness. Rather than dismissing them as imagination or coincidence, recognize them as your soul's breadcrumb trail leading toward wholeness. The heart remembers what the mind forgets, preserving essential wisdom from your eternal journey. If you've experienced those unmistakable moments of recognition, encountering people, places, or circumstances that feel hauntingly familiar beyond explanation, share "My soul recognizes the path" in the comments. These moments of remembrance connect us to the larger tapestry of our existence beyond this single lifetime. The sacred dance of souls across lifetimes reveals one of reincarnation's most profound mysteries, the ever-changing nature of our relationships. The child you cherish with inexplicable devotion may have once been your protective mother in a distant century. The spouse whose presence feels like coming home might have been your beloved sibling in another era. Even more revealing, the person who has caused your deepest wounds in this lifetime might once have been your closest ally, your brother, your friend, your trusted companion. These role reversals aren't random cosmic coincidences, but carefully orchestrated opportunities for soul evolution. The child who now tests your patience to the breaking point may be the same. Soul you once abandoned, returning not for revenge, but for healing. The enemy who seems determined to destroy you may be the same soul you once betrayed, reappearing not to punish, but to create the perfect circumstances for mutual liberation through forgiveness. These soul reunions serve a purpose far beyond merely balancing karmic accounts. They create the precise conditions needed to open what Edgar Cayce called the portal of forgiveness, that sacred threshold where ancient wounds finally have the opportunity to heal completely. The intense emotions these connections generate, whether love or hatred, attraction or repulsion, serve as spiritual catalysts, creating enough energetic momentum to break through patterns that have persisted across centuries. Now I want to reveal the hidden power that makes forgiveness the master key to soul liberation. When you truly forgive, not with superficial words, but with the depths of your being, you don't change what happened in the past. Those events remain as they were. What changes is your relationship to them, and consequently, your entire present reality. The energetic cords that have bound you to painful patterns suddenly dissolve, releasing you from invisible constraints that have limited your evolution. This liberation operates on multiple levels simultaneously. Not only does it free your individual consciousness from the prison of resentment, bitterness, and victimhood, but it also breaks what might be called ancestral chains, patterns of pain, reactivity, and limitation that have been passed through soul groups across multiple incarnations. This explains why authentic forgiveness often triggers unexpected waves of healing that extend far beyond the specific relationship where forgiveness occurred. You're not just healing yourself, but contributing to the liberation of an entire soul family. Perhaps the most counterintuitive revelation in Edgar Cayce's work is that your highest spiritual mission in this lifetime might involve precisely the person who has hurt you most deeply. This doesn't mean accepting abuse or remaining in harmful situations. Quite the opposite. It means recognizing that your greatest spiritual growth opportunity often appears disguised as your most painful challenge, offering the chance to transform ancient patterns of hatred, vengeance, and separation through the revolutionary power of love. The ultimate spiritual victory never involves defeating another soul, but conquering the reactive patterns within yourself that perpetuate cycles of suffering. When you choose forgiveness where vengeance seems justified, compassion where judgment seems deserved, understanding where condemnation feels righteous, you literally change the trajectory of multiple destinies, including your own. This inner transformation ripples outward, affecting not just this lifetime, but the entire tapestry of incarnations connected to yours. If you're beginning to recognize how your most challenging relationships might actually be your most important spiritual assignments, share "I accept my soul mission" in the comments. This recognition marks a profound turning point in your journey across lifetimes. The spiritual journey often feels intensely personal, a solitary path that each soul must walk alone. Yet one of the most illuminating insights from Edgar Cayce's work reveals that no soul evolves in isolation. The boundaries we perceive between individual consciousnesses are more permeable than we realize. Each choice you make, particularly those involving forgiveness, compassion, and love, creates energetic ripples that extend far beyond your visible horizon, touching countless other souls in ways you may never consciously perceive. When you choose peace in a situation that justifies war, that decision reverberates through the collective field of consciousness, creating a template that others can access intuitively. When you forgive what seems unforgivable, that quantum leap of consciousness doesn't just liberate you, it weakens the gravitational pull of vengeance for everyone connected to your soul family across time. Your personal breakthroughs become cosmic blueprints, accessible to all souls struggling with similar patterns. This revelation transforms even the most private spiritual victories into acts of profound service. You aren't evolving merely for your own enlightenment, but serving as a pathfinder for legions of souls connected to your journey. Each inner threshold you cross creates an energetic slipstream that makes the same passage easier for others. This understanding infuses even your most personal transformations with universal significance, connecting your individual journey to the collective awakening of consciousness itself. Now, let's explore the revolutionary power hidden within the present moment, the only point where genuine transformation becomes possible. The past, with all its accumulated karma and experiences, has already completed its expression. The future remains unwritten potential, but here, in this precise moment of now, you possess the power to rebuild what was broken, illuminate what has remained in darkness, and love what has been forgotten across lifetimes. This understanding shifts your relationship with time entirely. Rather than being a helpless product of your past or an anxious anticipator of your future, you become a conscious creator in the eternal now. This moment, this exact point in your awareness, contains all the power needed to redirect the entire trajectory of your soul's journey. A single decision made with full consciousness can initiate ripples of transformation that extend backward and forward across time, healing ancient wounds and creating new possibilities simultaneously. Remember that you're already an ancient soul with a vast reservoir of experience. You've already suffered profoundly, hurt others significantly, saved many compassionately, fallen repeatedly, and risen triumphantly, perhaps countless times across your soul's journey. This perspective helps you approach current challenges with both humility and confidence, recognizing that this moment's difficulty is merely one chapter in an epic spiritual journey that spans eternity. The revolutionary impact of understanding past lives often manifests most powerfully in your relationship with suffering. Without this expanded perspective, pain often triggers existential revolt, the agonized cry of, "Why me?" that echoes through human experience. This question, with its implicit sense of cosmic injustice, creates a state of resistance that actually intensifies suffering rather than alleviating it. When you begin perceiving your current challenges within the larger tapestry of your soul's journey across multiple lifetimes, something profound shifts internally. The desperate demand, "Why me?" gradually transforms into the more expansive inquiry, "What for?" A question that opens doorways to meaning, purpose, and direction. This shift doesn't eliminate pain, but it fundamentally transforms your relationship with it, revealing its evolutionary purpose within your soul's curriculum. Ancient guilt, that vague yet persistent feeling of cosmic unworthiness that haunts many spiritual seekers, serves no constructive purpose in your evolution. It represents energy trapped in perpetual recycling, creating an undertow that continually pulls you backward rather than propelling you forward. The invitation is clear. Don't carry the dead weight of ancient guilt, but instead bear the living light of conscious awareness. Transform shadows not by fighting them, but by understanding them. Convert mistakes not by denying them, but by building bridges of wisdom from their lessons. If you're feeling a shift in how you perceive your life's challenges, beginning to see them as meaningful chapters in your soul's epic journey rather than random suffering, share "I see my soul's story" unfolding in the comments. This recognition opens the gateway to conscious participation in your own spiritual evolution. As we bring our journey together to a close, I'm reminded of something profound that Edgar Cayce often emphasized. Awareness itself is the beginning of transformation. The very fact that you've stayed with me through these revelations about your soul's eternal journey suggests that your spirit is ready to recognize the patterns, embrace the lessons, and consciously participate in your own evolution across lifetimes. This understanding doesn't just change how you view your past, it completely transforms how you experience your present and create your future. Every challenge that once seemed like random suffering now reveals itself as a carefully crafted opportunity for your soul's growth. Every difficult person becomes a sacred teacher. Every painful pattern becomes a portal to liberation. If something in this message resonated deeply within you, perhaps triggering that subtle recognition that feels less like learning something new and more like remembering something you've always known, I'd love for you to leave a comment saying, "My soul remembers this truth." There's something powerful about declaring your recognition, about putting into words the awakening that's happening within you. If you found value in these insights, that gentle tap on the like button helps others discover this message who might be walking a similar path. After all, we're not just evolving for ourselves. We're creating templates that serve countless others on their own journeys. And if you're ready to continue exploring these soul-level truths, there's a video right here that delves into how to access your past life memories and use them for healing in your current existence. Click and join me there as we take this understanding even deeper, transforming insight into practical spiritual tools for your everyday life. Remember, you're not just a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences. You're a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and in that remembering lies your greatest power to transform not just this lifetime, but all those that have come before and all those yet to come.